Dirtbags, what is up? I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. We got a sick video planned for today, as I promised you guys, so stay tuned for that. Right now, as you guys can see, I've been living in filth. I've been living in this mess of a room for about the last week and a half now. So my first priority of the day, my first objective, is to go ahead and get this place cleaned up, and then we're going to go ahead and get into the litness, into the video. So stick with me, guys. I'm going to get this cleaned up right now, and then we'll jump straight into it. Alright guys, so the room is cleaned up, as you can see. Whew, I got Kitty right here chilling with me. One of the starred features on the channel, you already know. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a climbing gear review. All the equipment that I normally use, all the stuff that I really personally prefer to use, I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to give you an explanation, a breakdown of all the technical aspects of the gear and why I choose to use it. So let's go ahead and get into it. So as you guys know, here at the Mafia, we are climbers, we are dirt bags to the fullest. These are just a few of the things that we use to keep us safe while we're out there climbing. And with that being said, guys, climbing is inherently dangerous. Please do not go hang from the side of a cliff without a trained professional. So, first piece of gear we're going to review is the harness. This is what ties you into the entire system. The harness that I use personally and will continue to use until it completely falls apart is the Petzl Sama. So the Sama is a sport climbing harness, and it is meant for single pitch use. Not to say that you can't use it on a multi-pitch climb, but it's most comfortably used on a single pitch sport climb. Really nice, really thick Dyneema reinforced belay loop. This thing has been used and used, and it is still not super frayed. I have used this thing for the past 3.5 years now, and I've done a lot of climbing in those 3.5 years. One thing I really enjoy about the Sama is the elastic leg loops. This is going to allow you to remain comfortable while still not losing your range of movement while you're in this harness. Now, this may not work for people with super wide thighs. You may be able to slide into an XL, but I'm not 100% sure. Another feature of the Petzl Sama harness that I like is the auto double backing buckle. Normally in most harnesses, you're going to have to manually double this piece of nylon webbing back through the buckle in order to lock it into place. This is already locked into place, and you simply just pull on it to tighten it, like so. Really simple to use, really user friendly, and it also helps prevent the instance of not double backing your harness, so it makes things a little bit safer for beginner climbers. Now, it also has a rear haul loop. I don't think this is a full strength haul loop, so you're not going to be able to hang off this or do anything like that, but it is good for hauling gear. You've got 4 gear loops on this harness. The front 2 are going to be more of a rigid gear loop. They're going to stick out a little more for ease of use, ease of access. The back 2 are more flexible gear loops, and those are going to be good for you know, when you're wearing a pack or something like that, then they're not going to interfere with that. You also have these auxiliary loops in between your gear loops, and those are going to be for ice tools. That's for ice climbing. You're going to stick a carabiner on here and then hang your ice tools off there. This thing is a very versatile harness. It can be used for multiple applications. Super comfortable, super breathable. It's got the mesh liner. I love this harness. Honestly, if you're going for just a beginner sport climbing harness, this is the thing to get. Next thing I'm going to jump into is shoes, guys. I use the 510 Stoneland climbing shoe. It's the VCS, so it's got the Velcro straps. It's got a full leather upper, lined interior, 2 pull tabs on the back for sliding it over the heel, and then of course these Velcro straps for ease of taking off and on the shoe, which is really nice. What I like to do when I get to the top of a climb and I'm secured in with my safety lines, I like to really just rip these off and slide my shoes off and clip them onto my harness. This is more of a flat profile shoe, so sometimes whenever you're doing more difficult sport climbs, you're going to go with a more aggressive profile shoe, which is going to allow you to really dig into pockets and things like that. This is a great shoe. It utilizes the Stealth C4 rubber, which is some of the stickiest, best rigid rubber on the market, so it's really going to hold on those edges and it's really going to stand up to the test of time. Really like these shoes. Next piece of gear that I'm going to review is going to be called the Black Diamond Hot Wire Quickdraw. And what these quick draws are used for is securing you to the rock as you climb upwards. And I'm going to go over all the different technical aspects of climbing later on in another video. We're going to be talking about the difference between sport climbing, trad climbing, and just mixed climbing and things like that, ice climbing. Simple review of this: it's got a solid gate carabiner on the top for clipping into the rock. It's got a nylon webbing dog bone with really thick bar tacking here in the middle, keeping you secure and keeping these things locked together. The bottom carabiner is actually a wire gate carabiner. That's going to reduce weight, and that's going to be able to help you distinguish between the two carabiners whenever you are actually clipping in. I also like to keep a set of longer quick draws. These ones are going to be quick draws made by Moot, and they are double solid gates, so they're both going to be solid gate. One has a bent gate carabiner, which is actually a little bit easier for clipping your rope into. You can grab onto it a little bit easier. Nice thick nylon dog bone like on the hot wires, and these are really nice for making sport climbing anchors or just extending out a placement a little bit further than you normally would. I highly suggest these for your sport climbing anchor draws. Next piece of gear I'm going to review is something that every climber uses, and that is a chalk bag. It's pretty simple. You literally just put chalk in it and dip your hands into it. What I like to do is I like to get one that is nice and swaggy and matches my harness, so I'm looking fresh while I'm up there on those cliffs. This thing has a nice drawstring closure. It's got a adjustable belt on it, which is really good for bouldering. It's got a brush loop, so you want to hang your little chalk brush off the side there, you can do that. And it's nice and wide, so you can really dunk your hands into it nice and easily. That's one thing about a chalk bag, is you don't want to have something that is too constricted so that you can't actually get your hands in there. So this thing is perfect for that use. Alright, the next thing that is important to a sport climber is going to be your belay device. This is what helps you rappel off the side of the sport climb. This is also what you use to hold your climber while you're belaying, and this is what's going to create enough friction to stop the rope in case they do fall. What I use is a Black Diamond ATC. This is your most basic sport climbing belay device. There's no mechanical parts, so the only point of failure on this device is actually going to be your hand letting go of the rope, which, trust me, it does happen. I've been dropped before. Don't make that mistake. It's always good to keep a backup on hand in case somebody forgets theirs. I have forgotten my belay device before on the way to a climb, and I actually ended up having to use what's called a munter hitch in order to be able to belay, which is nice to know those kinds of things, because if you forget this and you don't know how to use a munter hitch, you are screwed. For my belay carabiner, so the way that the belay device works is that you actually clip carabiner through it, and then you're going to take your rope and go through the top, through the carabiner, and out the other side, and that's what's going to create your friction as you're controlling and letting in and taking slack. So the carabiner I choose to use is a Black Diamond locking carabiner. You always want to have a locking carabiner on your belay device. It just creates another point of safety. You can kind of see the rope wear on this carabiner here. It's been really strong. It's withstood the test of time. I like to use a really wide carabiner for my belay carabiner. That way you have enough room if you're double roping, if you're doing rappelling and different things like that. It's going to give you plenty of room. I like to use a twist gate carabiner. Whenever you open it and whenever you close it, it's actually going to twist to lock that carabiner into place. A really nice safety feature. That's pretty much it for the sport climbing gear. Next, I have some trad climbing gear. These nice, beautiful little ladies here. And I'm just going to go over just a brief explanation of what these actually are. First off, you have what's called nuts or chocks or stoppers. These are what's called passive protection. So these actually don't have any moving parts to them. What you do is you just wedge these into a crack, then you clip your quick draw to that, and then you actually clip your rope into the quick draw. These are really nice for whenever you're doing anything with constrictions or anything with a nice tapered crack where you can really just wedge that in there and pull it in there nice and tight. You know they're not going to move on you. You know they're not going to change positions, and they're super, super strong. So I prefer to use these whenever possible. So nuts, very good thing to have on your harness, a very important piece of protection, and definitely one of the easier to use pieces of trad gear. Trad standing for traditional climbing, guys. We'll get into all that, like I said, in another video. The most commonly used piece of trad gear, in my opinion, is the camming device, or cam as they call them. They come in multiple different sizes, multiple different variations. As you can see, you've got all different sizes of cams here, guys, and these are really, really, really nice, really expensive pieces of gear. When in doubt, these are definitely something that you want to have on your rack and as a part of your arsenal of trad climbing equipment. Now, as you can see, there's multiple different kinds of cams. These are two different brands. This one is the Black Diamond C4 Camelot. These is probably one of the more popular cams in the game. These are what are going to be used by professionals. These are really nice, really smooth action on them. They have a super wide range based on their dual axle design. So what that dual axle does is it allows the camming device to actually go from about there to there. So it's got a super wide range on it. Now, as you can see, the difference between the double axle design and the single axle design is it actually doesn't have quite the range as the double axle, but the nice thing about the Metolius Master Cam here is that it does have a range indicator right on it, so you can tell wherever the rock contact points are, whether you have a bomber placement or kind of a crappy placement. That's going to make you more comfortable with where you're placing your gear. Also, the single axle design is a little bit lighter, but you're going to have to carry more pieces in turn due to the decrease in range from the Black Diamond. Now, I like to do a little bit of a mix of each one, seeing as how the ranges are a little bit different on those, but that's all personal preference. And that just comes down to experience and kind of knowing what type of climbing you're going to be doing and what you're going to be needing for the route. That's pretty much a breakdown of all my gear. Now I'm going to show you guys the pack that I use when I'm going climbing. I use this Camelback, this is the Arete 22. The Camelback Arete 22, it's great for a day pack. I can literally fit all of my gear directly into it. Every single bit of climbing gear that I have fits into this. Everything, literally. Shove it right in. It also has a 2.5 liter hydro pack on it, so you're able to put water directly in here. You don't have to carry extra water with you. 2.5 liters will get you through pretty much any climbing day that you need, unless you're going for a full day hike or a alpine climb. It's nice to not have to carry extra water bottles and things like that. Now, typically I don't always carry all my trad climbing gear because that is the climbing that I do the least, is trad climbing. So usually when I'm sport climbing, all I have to carry is my harness, my shoes, my Quickdraws, and my chalk bag, and maybe some slings for anchor building and stuff like that. But everything does fit in here, so you never have to worry. The Camelback Arete 22, perfect bag for climbing, and perfect bag for any type of day hike that you might need to go on. Okay guys, well that is it for today. Thank you so much for tuning into the gear review. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. As always, give us a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel. The Dirtbag Mafia is growing and we are strong out here. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much, and we will see you on Thursday. Peace.